USC students are serving the community by gardening. We're live with volunteers to learn more about the initiative.
Also, a new segment called Fight for Change, where we spotlight activists around the world. We spoke with a USC student fighting food waste.
And find out how a grocery delivery company called Imperfect Foods can help you be a part of the sustainability movement.
You're looking live at the hard work of volunteers committed to making the community a greener one.
USC community members are working together to transform a plot of land into a garden. Good evening, I'm Allie Anthony.
And I'm Vincent Demonte. Reporter Olivia Tyler is live near the Shrine Auditorium, where the soon-to-be garden is in the works.
I am right outside the Shrine Auditorium, but don't be fooled, I am not here for a concert. I'm here where USC students are preparing to build a new community garden. Earlier today, I spoke with the professor who spearheaded the USC Peace Garden project, and she told me this is a place for peace and feeling nature.
It's really about having a space for outdoor, rejuvenation, restoration. You know, we all are spending so much time with heightened focus and screens. You know, we're cognitively, it's like a lot of, we're doing hard work, right? We're all in this academic institution. So I'm looking forward to having a space where people can just more restore themselves.
USC's Garden Club is breaking ground on a new project. I'm here looking live at a vacant lot, but soon this space will be filled with flowers and greenery. The project's director says the goal is to focus on bringing back native plants, which could improve the biodiversity of this region.
A big goal I have for this space is for it to be open to the entire community and really be a space to give back. Because this house is a house that USC bought out from residents here. So it used to be, a part of the broader community. And I think we should really utilize it to give back.
The volunteers are hard at work here behind me, and although they just started today, it already looks amazing. I live right down the street, so I can't wait to come by in a few months and see what fruits and veggies are blooming. That's it for tonight out here. For Annenberg Media, I'm Olivia Tyler. Back to you in the studio.
USC's undergraduate student government wants to make recycling more accessible at campus libraries. We talked to the chair of sustainability and campus infrastructure committee.
It seems like a really simple project, but there's so much planning that goes into strategically placing bins. I think this is what admin don't see because they're not going to Levy Library to throw away paper, you know what I mean? So that's kind of where the student perspective comes in. There's twice as many trash cans as recycling bins in the entire library. Next to the printer, there's no reason why there should be a trash can right there. That makes no sense. It's only paper that's coming out of that.
Davis said one of the main goals is to make sustainable choices as easy as possible for students. This is just one of the several USG initiatives aimed at improving sustainability on campus. Other measures include providing renewable materials to student groups and incorporating zero waste practices into events.
A USC student is working hard to eliminate food waste with the Farm Link project. The project tries to connect broken supply chains between the agricultural industry and food banks. Allie talked with her this afternoon.
We are so excited to announce our new segment, Fight for Change, where we're going to be interviewing activists for different issues. And today, we're starting with Junior Grace Cortese. Grace has been with FarmLink since the summer, and you've been working to help FarmLink end food waste and food insecurity in LA. Before we get into anything, can we just start with the overarching issue? How big is the problem of food waste in LA?
The issue's massive. We grow enough food to feed everyone on Earth, yet a third of that goes to waste. And in a city like Los Angeles, where the cost of living is so high, there are going to be higher rates of food insecurity here than in other areas across the country.
Right. Well, I was wondering if there's any sort of relationship between kind of food insecurity and food waste. I know they fit hand in hand, but what is that relationship like?
Here at FarmLink, we believe that it's absolutely preposterous that these issues are coexisting. So the issue starts often with on-farm food waste because the supply chain gets disrupted or that food cannot be connected to people who need it. And simultaneously, food banks are seeing an absolute increase in need due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So there really is just like a missing link, connecting that food to the places where it needs to go, and that's where we come in.
Again, kind of bringing it back to the individual consumer, what do you think that we individually can do to kind of help mitigate these issues of food waste and food insecurity?
I think the answer to that is sort of twofold. There's, first of all, just be conscious of your own consumption. When you're going to the grocery store or when you're ordering food, make sure your eyes aren't bigger than your plate. I'm sure we've all heard our moms say that a million times. And then simultaneously, there's the institutional issue. So it's lobby your congressman, get involved with organizations like FarmLink, so we can kind of tackle the issue at its root, which is supply chain disruptions and a lack of legislation surrounding the issue.
Again, thank you so much for coming in, Grace. This was such a great conversation, and we're very thankful for the work that you're doing for our community. If you guys want to learn more about FarmLink, head to their website at www.farmlinkproject.org.
Ice caps are melting, sea levels are rising, and if knowing that makes you worried, you're not alone. Psychologists say it's natural for people to have so-called climate anxiety, but they are urging people not to become too negative.
Well, the doomsday attitude is not good. The doomsday attitude is promoted actually by people who don't want to see change, because you know what having that doomsday attitude does? It keeps people paralyzed in fear and concern and unable to take these actions. It is particularly impactful on youth who are quite savvy in recognizing that the climate crisis impacts them more greatly than it does older generations. But we certainly see grandparents worried about their grandchildren. So it's not unique to one generation, but of course, younger people recognize that they're concerned about 20, 30 years from now and how that's going to affect their ability to have a home, to have a career, have a family, raise their kids in a safe environment.
The American Psychological Association says education is key to easing anxiety over the planet's future. The agency says people should avoid bad or false information about the issue, and they should consider joining local groups dedicated to fighting climate change.
Plenty of organizations are helping companies and restaurants reduce waste. But ReFed is a national nonprofit working to end food loss across all levels of the food system. The organization says it's on consumers to really make the change.
Well, luckily, most people realize instinctively that throwing away good food is a bad thing. But we're not there yet as a culture. And a lot of food goes to waste, even though people realize that it's not something that we should be doing. On the economic side, $408 billion goes to waste, growing and processing and transporting, storing, cooking, etc., food that never gets eaten.
Interested in reducing food waste in your own household? Consider preparing meals ahead. Learn how to properly store fresh produce, eat your leftovers, and of course, donate and volunteer with local food relief agencies. What if you could fight food waste while getting fresh groceries delivered at your doorstep at a discount? A company called Imperfect Foods aims to do just that. It's an online grocery store that sells misshapen produce that would elsewhere get tossed out. The company is hosting a series of events at Venice Beach as part of LA Food Waste Week. This includes panels on food access and urban gardening, as well as kombucha samplings and coffee workshops. An organizer says they hope it brings awareness to the problem of food waste.
So we are going to not only Los Angeles, but also San Francisco, Portland, and Seattle. And one of our ultimate goals is to save 1,000 pounds of food from going to waste each week. So in LA specifically, we are doing 20 plus events at the Rose Room in Venice Beach in order to educate the local community on food waste.
Some USC students are fighting food waste by turning their unused meal swipes into food for people in need. They call their group Trojans Give Back. Every Friday, they set up a table outside Popovich Cafe for students to donate non-perishable food they bought using meal swipes. Trojans Give Back then delivers the food to local food banks. They say it's an easy way to cut down on waste and help those in need.
I'm a freshman. I'm on a meal plan right now. Our meal plans reset every Sunday, and I realized I wasn't using all of my meal swipes. So a lot of my friends weren't either, and I was like, what can we do with all these leftover swipes, you know? So I searched around campus, looked for a solution that would work, and I settled on these snack packs.
I saw the disparity between the people who don't have anything and those who do. So it feels like my right responsibility to fill that in and kind of help out the people who kind of need that.
I think it's a really smart use of extra resources. You know, if people aren't using their meal swipes, that's value that probably should go somewhere else.
According to Trojans Give Back, they've received hundreds of donations and provided nearly 1,000 free meals.
The Arts and Climate Collective is a year-old program at USC. It funds student projects that create community ties and explore the impacts of climate change through arts, culture, and storytelling.
One of the neat successes was a documentary made about the student-led divestment campaign to divest from fossil fuels at USC, which is now on USC's sustainability website. So pretty cool example of great student work, great student activism, and the university appreciating and recognizing the students' role in really important policy change.
I think that the arts have a unique ability to make us feel the issues that hard data and science don't always get across.
You can attend the Collective Spring event on April 20th to support the latest cohort of artists. Fast fashion might be a work in a pinch, but it can have a big impact on the environment. In LA's fashion district, 2 stylists are working to give old clothes some new life.
The average person doesn't really have an eye for, classic pieces or used, clothing. And so I think it's really important for somebody to have a connection with to help you maybe lower your carbon footprint.
I'm known for doing one-of-a-kind pieces, and the reason why I like doing one-of-a-kind is because the way I find my materials. So I'll go to thrift stores, I go to stores like fabric stores, and I only buy their scraps. Anything I make, even if I buy a lot of fabric, I keep all of the scraps and then I reuse those.
The United Nations says 75% of textile waste ends up in a landfill. But these store owners say the price of fashion doesn't have to come at the cost of the environment.
From adding recycling bins to embracing solar energy, USC has taken many steps to reduce its environmental impact. But students say it's not enough and that the university needs to go even greener.
Really learning from my family, learning from my dad how important nature is.
I was raised with my mom being very environmentally aware, so I always grew up with that habit of seeing water as kind of a precious thing. I think maybe actually doing seminars about how to properly recycle things, because I feel sometimes it's actually really confusing.
I don't think a lot of people even know about recycling. I know my roommates, some of them before college, they've never recycled before. Maybe make that a mandatory information session or something that people have to attend.
Make it a requirement in terms of GE to have an environmental studies class, to have a climate change education.
So Allie, since we're on the subject of sustainability, how do you stay sustainable here in LA?
I think my favorite ways and the easiest ways for me to stay really sustainable in LA is by carpooling with my friends. So every weekend we like to get out, head to the beach, and instead of driving separately, we all pack into my car and it works out that way. And I also like to share my groceries with my roommates because we all know there's no way that I can eat an entire bag of carrots myself. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, for me, it definitely has to be taking the bus a few times. I've definitely ridden the bus here to some places with some of my friends. And then within my own dorm, I tend to not use the air conditioning as much. I tend to use a fan that I have on my desk, save some energy in there. And, we have some great weather here in LA, so who needs the AC that much anyway, right?
You gotta enjoy it while it lasts before it gets too hot.
Exactly. We're heading into there now, right?
I know, seriously.
Well, thanks for watching See It Live. From everyone here in Annenberg Media, I'm Vincent Demonte.
And I'm Allie Anthony. For more coverage, watch and subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Annenberg Media. Have a great night.